Green No More, the saga that destroyed the Green Ranger. Okay, so we all know by now that I love Power Rangers and I am a big fan of the franchise. So much so that my first video was about the Green Ranger saga, the introduction to arguably the Power Ranger, Tommy Oliver. It is one of the best Power Ranger storylines in the franchise, a 5-part epic that was a masterpiece, ending with the Rangers triumphant, beating Rita, and freeing Tommy from her mind control. Tommy officially joined the team after that, and they became an even stronger team. The problem, however, is that in the Sentai Mighty Morphin was based off of, this was actually the first time they had a 6th Ranger, so they were still experimenting. Their version wasn't around for long because the creative team didn't know if it would work, so they killed him off, and that kind of screwed over Power Rangers. Because now suddenly the Green Ranger couldn't be used in future episodes unless original footage was used. So the creative team for Power Rangers made a 2-part special writing off the Green Ranger. This would write the character of Tommy off, but then he came back in another 2-parter. So those are the episodes we're looking at today. Let's find out if 30 years later, The Green Candle and Return of an Old Friend still hold up. With all that said, I'm Rocko from Remore, and let's dive in. By the way, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe because we upload videos just like this one on our channel. The Green Candle, Part 1. The episode starts with Tommy and Zach having a karate match. During the break, Zach asks Tommy if he asked Kimberly to the dance, but Tommy says he hasn't, afraid she'll say no. Zach is confident she'll say yes, but it's not good to put it off too long. Rita, meanwhile, has the perfect plan to take over Earth. By using the green candle formed from magic wax, she will drain the Green Ranger of his powers and retrieve them. Why she didn't do this earlier, I have no idea. I mean, later in the episode it's implied it took a while to turn the wax into a candle, but it's not really explained. Back with Tommy and Zach, the Zachmeister beats Tommy, who is off his game because he is nervous about asking out Kimberly. Zach demonstrates a totally flawless technique to woo a girl, but the girl in question brushed him off. This girl is actually Angela, a girl Zach had been trying to date all season. It doesn't really go anywhere, and after Walter Jones left the show, she was gone too. The real heroes, Bulk and Skull, then show up mocking them for not getting dates in the dance, and they are just trolls in the best way possible. Rita in the palace casts a spell while Goldar plans to send putties to capture Green Ranger. Goldar, the putties are not the most reliable foot soldiers, my dude. Tommy, meanwhile, is on a walk with Kimberly, clearly very nervous about the question he is about to ask her, and it's understandable. While the two had clearly liked each other, nothing official had ever happened like a kiss or a date. Before Tommy could ask the $1,000,000 question, the putties show up and they fight. It's pretty awesome, and shockingly, the putties actually accomplish their job. They keep Kimberly back, separate the Rangers from their morphers, and hold Tommy down. This is when Goldar shows up and teleports Tommy away before he leaves too. They teleport to the Dark Dimension, the same place where Jason was held up in the Green with Evil saga. Nice throwback. They take his morpher and Goldar tells him what's up. If he serves Rita again, he can keep his powers. If not, then the green candle set up in this room will drain them away. Once the candle flame goes out, the powers will transfer to Rita, who meanwhile is making Finster build a Cyclops monster. Tommy goes to fight Goldar, but just like Jason, he is outmatched without his morpher. Kimberly is freaking out in the power chamber about what Rita's going to do to Tommy, but Zordon and Billy can't locate him. The alarm goes off as Dragon Zord is attacking Angel Grove. Zordon's sensors tell him that the Dragon Zord there isn't the real one, but an imposter, and the Rangers go to fight as Goldar is ordered to join them. Goldar makes sure Tommy can't get the candle. He puts shackles on him before teleporting to fight the Rangers, who engage in another fight with the putties. Yeah, if I had a nickel for every time the Power Rangers fought the putties, I would be as rich as Tony Stark. The Rangers destroy them, obviously, before calling the Megazord to fight the fake Dragon Zord. I mean, let's be real, a fight between Megazord and Dragon Zord is always really fun. The Rangers are in trouble though, as he is just as strong as the normal Dragon Zord. Goldar returns to the Dark Dimension to mock Tommy some more, as he is unable to stop Goldar. Tommy outsmarts Goldar though by grabbing his sword. Remembering how Goldar teleported with his sword, Tommy plants the saber into the ground and teleports both of them out as Tommy grabs his morpher and teleports into the battle. Tommy shows up to the battle and summons the real Dragon Zord to fight, while also noticing his powers are getting weaker. The real Dragon Zord smacks the Cyclops as the monster shows off he can transform, but then he leaves for some reason. Rita found the wax in the Gamma Tri system. Once it's touched, it retains the person's body energy. Tommy is confused because he never touched it, but Zordon says Rita made him touch it when he was under her control. Honestly, that's a good contingency plan for her. Rita isn't bluffing. If the candle burns out, the Green Ranger is finished. And what a note to end on. How does this episode rank? Characterization can get a 4. Tommy is very good. You feel his struggle as a teen being nervous about asking out his crush, and everyone else is worried about saving him. The story can get a 5. I mean, the threat this time is big. Rita's saying she's going to drain the Green Ranger of his powers and take him back? The stakes are pretty high. Entertainment gets a 4. It is really fun, especially with the Dragonzord Megazord battle. Plus, I'm so invested in this because of the Green Ranger. Importance gets a 5. This is one of the most historic storylines in Power Rangers. The first time the Green Ranger lost his powers. It is a must watch if you're into the series. The Green Candle, Part 2. Following the last episode, the Rangers ask if there's anything they can do to stop the candle, and Zordon says someone has to go in and take the candle before it burns out. Tommy volunteers, but Zordon says his presence will expedite the spell, which is probably why Goldar kidnapped Tommy to begin with. Jason says he'll do it since he's been to that dark dimension before, but Tommy objects. Tommy says he's not going to risk something happening to Jason because of him. Jason says Tommy is a Power Ranger and he's not going to stand by and watch as they lose a teammate, and everyone else feels the same. I love scenes like this. It once again shows why this isn't just a background noise show for kids. Jason, and by extension the others, are willing to take risks if it means saving Tommy's powers. Alpha finds the molecular patterns from the putties in the park, which will help them find the dark dimension. They need to find it quickly because the candle isn't doing so well. Billy makes a couple of molecular decoders to follow the pathway the putties took to teleport. Tommy thanks everyone for doing this to help him as the Rangers teleport to the location. Rita orders Cyclops to go back to Earth and imitate the Megazord as the Rangers set up the decoders in the park. We also see Bulk and Skull doing... I have no idea what they're doing. They find the team on their hill and see what they're up to. Bulk and Skull tell them to get out of the park and want to see the molecular decoders, and you can see where this is going after they climbed up a steep hill to get up there. With Bulk tumbling down the massive hill in a trash can, of course. Tommy feels bad for not being there for Jason, but Zordon says he should trust his friends. The alarm goes off as Cyclops poses as Dragonzord again. Zordon figures out that this monster will draw the Rangers away from the candle, so Tommy volunteers to take him down. Zordon is unsure of this since Tommy will be on his own, but Tommy reassures him before going, summoning the real Dragonzord to fight. The Cyclops gets blasted before transforming into the Megazord, and once again, seeing these two behemoths fight is always a blast. The fight gets super intense as even Tommy gets in on the action, entering his Zord's cockpit for the very first time. While Dragonzord holds its own, the Cyclops is just way too powerful as it keeps changing forms with new powers and weapons. The Rangers meanwhile have activated the molecular decoders and formed the portal. Jason walks into the portal to find himself back in the Dark Dimension, a nice full circle moment from the Green Ranger saga where Goldar and Jason squared off. They fight, but Goldar manages to keep Jason away from the candle. Tommy is getting thrashed in the meantime. The monster is too strong and his powers are fading, so Zordon makes the decision to call the other Rangers to help him and abort the candle rescue mission. Zack enters the portal to get Jason back, who is fighting with Goldar. Zack tells Jason they need to leave, but Jason doesn't want to. Tommy will lose his powers if he doesn't get the candle, but Zack says if they don't go now, Tommy will be destroyed. Jason makes the decision to leave, and the five morph to fight the monster in their Megazord. The six Rangers form the Ultrazord by merging the Dragonzord with Megazord and a Titanus Zord, a Zord that was introduced in a previous episode. And it is one of the coolest things ever, like a battle tank with guns going in every direction. It's awesome. By firing their massive arsenal, they destroy the Cyclops monster. Unfortunately for them, the green candle's flame is moments away from going out. They return to the command center as the green candle is extinguished. Zordon says there's only one way to stop Rita from getting the power, and that's by transferring the power to another Ranger. With a heavy heart, Tommy hands over the Dragonzord coin to Jason, saying it was fun while it lasted. Suddenly, the Golden Shield and Dragon Dagger transfer over to Jason as Tommy starts to collapse. Zordon confirms the power is protected and that Tommy is morphing back to his normal state. Zordon says that Tommy is courageous and a strong Ranger and an honorable man before Tommy changes back to normal. Jason apologizes for failing to get the candle, but Tommy says it's cool and he should use Tommy's power to fight against Rita. Even though he lost his power, he's still friends with them and they say he'll always be a Ranger. This whole thing is very emotional. Tommy was a fan favorite Ranger and seeing his possible permanent departure from the team is kind of hard to watch. The only problem I have with this is not even in this episode, but rather the following episodes. Because in all those episodes, aside from the two-parter that was intended to be the end of the series, they never mentioned Tommy again. There was a golden opportunity to really develop the Rangers. Maybe have them feel guilty about Tommy losing his powers, like Jason saying he should have been stronger, or Kimberly saying she should have fought off those putties. Or Billy saying his machine should have been better, or just have the Rangers express that they miss Tommy. But we get none of that. Tommy's no longer a Ranger, so we go back to Monster of the Week. Thankfully, after he loses his powers the second time, they do exactly what I mentioned earlier about feeling guilty, but that's a story for another day. Tommy is coping with the loss of his powers by doing some martial arts in the park to clear his head. Kimberly finds him and Tommy says he's been keeping busy trying to take his mind off it. Kimberly says she misses him and Tommy says he'll be alright for kissing Kimberly. Finally! Fun fact, or not so fun fact, depending on how you feel about it, this is not only the first kiss in Power Rangers, but one of the 3 that were in the entirety of the 30 years this show has been around. I am dead serious. There was one here, one in Dino Fury, and one cut out of the 2017 movie. Now that he kissed her, Tommy finds asking Kimberly out to the dance incredibly easy, and she accepts. Despite this episode being sad for Tommy because he lost his powers and left the show, the two-parter ends on a happy note with Kimberly and Tommy becoming a couple. How does this one rank? Characterization, I'm giving a 6. Everyone is so good here. Zordon being a caring mentor, Jason feeling guilty about his failure, and Tommy accepting that he's no longer a ranger, but is still sad about it. The story is also getting a 6. The story is so good. While it is a little simple, it's effective at building up tension and suspense. Entertainment gets a 4. It is really fun with seeing the Zord battles and stuff, although the episode is a bit lighter on the action, but that's understandable given all the story. Importance gets a 5. I mean, it's the Green Ranger losing his powers and giving them to Jason. It's pretty important to watch. I thought this two-parter was great. It was an intense storyline that kept me invested every scene because of how worried I was that Tommy was going to lose his powers, and he did. I bet this shocked every little kid back in the day. The fact that the Rangers actually lost and the Green Ranger was done, that must have been a huge surprise. While I thought that was a great action-packed emotional storyline, it does suck that Tommy was gone now. The creative team knew that Tommy couldn't be around forever, so the plan was to keep Green Ranger around for 12 episodes after his introduction, then write him off the show. And it might have stayed that way if not for how popular the character got. He was loved by everyone, and it's easy to understand why. Characters who were villainous but turned to good when done well are often the most popular characters. I mean, just look at Vegeta in Dragon Ball or Bakugo in My Hero. So when Green Ranger did retire, the fans watching were heartbroken, so much so the studio actually got letters from parents saying their kids refused to eat unless the Green Ranger came back. The team then realized they had to do something, and with the acquisition of more Sentai footage from Japan ordered by them, they created a new storyline to bring back the Green Ranger for real called The Return of an Old Friend. Just to catch you up, by the way, this is 14 episodes after Tommy lost his powers and 12 episodes after the show almost ended forever with the Doomsday finale. I want to say I do like how they put off bringing him back immediately. Any desperate studio to keep the hype going would have changed all the plans around to include him, but they stood by their plans and brought him back when the time was right. We got used to the new status quo and let the departure sink in before bringing him back to shake things up. Return of an Old Friend, Part 1. Return of an Old Friend starts at the Juice Bar hosting a Parents' Day party? What? I think this is supposed to be a parent-teacher conference, but for the Juice Bar? Anyways, this is the one and only time in the entirety of Mighty Morphin that we actually meet the Rangers' parents. We don't really get a chance to establish any dynamics with them though, which is a disappointment that could have been a driving force in future stories. We also get a chance to meet Bulk and Skull's parents, Skull's parents being army people and Bulk's being the most normal parents here, honestly. My point in creating stories is justified almost immediately though, because we see a couple that look to be Kimberly's parents, but then Kimberly's dad walks in. Rita on the moon base comes up with the plan to use the Dremel monster, who has a gas that will hypnotize anyone exposed to it. The plan is for the monster to hypnotize the parents and kidnap them, forcing the Rangers to pay a ransom. Trini goes outside to talk to Kimberly, and yeah, their parents are divorced, and they've hardly seen each other since the divorce. Kimberly thinks that it's her fault this happened and that her dad may not even show up. Trini tells her that her parents are there, you goober, and they both walk in but are attacked by putties. Zordon calls Jason and Zack to help the girls, and they do so. Goldar sends the Dremel monster to the Juice Bar to send everybody into the Dark Dimension. Yeah, that place just keeps popping up, doesn't it? He does so as the Rangers finish off the putties. Billy walks into the youth center to find the place abandoned, and Rita thinks of controlling him to get the Dragon Dagger. Billy is exposed to the gas, which hypnotizes him. He teleports to the command center and takes out Alpha. Zordon tries to reason with him, but Billy is too far gone as he takes the Dragon Dagger and leaves. The other Rangers walk into the youth center to find the place abandoned. Kimberly finds a scarf she gave her mom for her birthday, and Zordon gives them the lowdown at the command center. Zordon says their parents are safe for now and tells them about the Dremel monster. Trini reactivates Alpha as Zordon says they must retrieve the Dragon Dagger from the Dark Dimension while Zordon looks for their parents. They morph and go to the Dark Dimension where Billy is about to hand over the Dragon Dagger to Goldar. Goldar summons some putties and an awesome fight ensues. The martial arts in the smoke looks really cool, especially when backed by a Ron Wasserman tune. Goldar takes the Dragon Dagger as Billy breaks out of the spell. Goldar says now that he has the Dragon Dagger, he has control of the Dragon Zord, and offers the Rangers an ultimatum. Either give him their power coins or lose their parents forever. Billy morphs as the 5 Rangers go to fight the Dragon Zord being controlled by Goldar. They summon the Megazord to fight, and it just never gets old. I could watch these two beasts fight all day. It's like Godzilla taking on King Kong. It never gets old. The Rangers get blasted though as they leave their Zords to fight Goldar. Goldar says they need to hand over the power coins or lose their parents forever. They call Zordon for advice, and Zordon says this involves their parents. The decision is theirs to make. They all decide to hand over the power coins for their parents, but of course Goldar is lying. He was going to destroy the world anyway, so what does it matter if the parents live or die? Wait, I thought Rita wanted to take over the world. The Rangers teleport to the command center where Zordon managed to find their parents in the dark dimension. They blame themselves for being so stupid, but Zordon says it was a tough choice and they kept their parents alive. Kimberly asks what they do now that Goldar has all the power coins, but Jason reminds them they still have one. Back at the juice bar, we see that Tommy rolls in, and in the episode backed by Go Green Ranger Go. Characterization gets a 5. Everyone is strong. Billy regretting what he had done, Jason feeling conflicted on what to do, Kimberly being nervous about her parents, Trini comforting her, it's all great. I also appreciate how great of a mentor Zordon is. He's worried about losing the Power Rangers, but he understands this is their parents, so he won't force his team to do anything. The story gets a 5. It is a very devious plan from Rita and Co., and it's very effective, making the tension rise up much higher than the other episodes. Entertainment is a 4. It is pretty fun. The parents' dynamics are cool and the action is great. Importance gets a 5. You can't really skip this one. Not only is this a pretty good episode, but it ends with a great cliffhanger, teasing that the Green Ranger is coming back. Return of an Old Friend, Part 2. Continuing on, Kimberly asks what good the Dragon Coin will do if they can't morph with it. Alpha locates their parents again, and everyone reacts to seeing them for the first time. What? Okay, sometimes continuity is screwy in the first season, but this was a 2-parter. It was probably shot back to back. They decide they need to take the risk. They teleport Tommy to the command center, and the Rangers welcome him back with his coin. They get Tommy up to speed, but he asks what he can do without his powers. Zordon chimes in saying if he infuses Tommy with his own energy, it would temporarily give his powers back. Billy points out that this could be dangerous for both of them, with Jason saying they may give out during the fight. It's too risky. See, this is why Zordon is one of the best mentors on the show. Even though he's a head in a tube, he's willing to risk his own life just so his team could have a chance to save the day. Tommy says he's willing to take the risk as well, as Goldar summons the Dragon Zord to attack Angel Grove. Zordon infuses Tommy's coin with his energy, which starts to weaken him, but power up the Green Ranger. Now ready for action, the Green Ranger teleports to where Goldar is keeping the power coins and gets into a fight with the putties and Goldar. Goldar gets the upper hand though, as the Green Ranger is much weaker than before. Seeing that Tommy is losing, they give him more energy, which gives the Green Ranger a second wind. Tommy uses this brief window of energy to regain control of the Dragon Zord by getting the Dragon Dagger. In response to this, Rita makes Goldar and Scorpina grow. We then get this amazing fight backed by Go Green Ranger Go, the theme song of the Green Ranger. I think this is where it made its debut on the show, and it's so awesome every time they play it. Zordon starts to fade away as his power drops as Tommy starts losing his powers. Before that happens though, Tommy grabs the power coins and teleports away, collapsing to the floor in pain. Later, Alpha figured out if Zordon powered up Tommy with his energy, maybe they can infuse their coin's energy into Zordon. They combine their energies and revive Zordon, who thanks them. They don't have time to celebrate though, as Dramol is unleashed and they have to fight him. Zordon figuring out if the Rangers destroy him, their parents will return. The Rangers morph to fight Dramol, and even though Zordon literally just said don't breathe in the gases, that's what they do immediately. Everyone but Kimberly falls under his spell. The Rangers turn on Kimberly as Zordon and Alpha can do nothing but watch. Shockingly, Tommy starts to float in the air surrounded by green energy. Zordon figures out that when he reached into the force field guarding the power coins, Tommy got an overcharge of morphing powers, which restored his abilities. Tommy wakes up and morphs to go save Kimberly. Green Ranger dives in with freaking lightning backing him as he frees the others from the monster's control. Rita makes her monster grow as everyone else summons their Zords to fight him. I will say, while I think the Zord fights in the first half of Mighty Morphin is great, the ones in the second half are not as good. That's mostly because of the fact they slowed down the fight footage for no reason. I get the intent, it was to add more weight, but it really clashes with the fast-paced, grounded fights. The Rangers form the Mega Dragon Zord before forming the Ultra Zord, so that was pointless, and the Rangers blast Dramol. They destroy him and Rita freaks out. Back at the command center, Zordon tells them their parents have been freed. They're at the youth center and remember nothing, which makes the Rangers all happy, especially with Tommy getting his powers back. Zordon says they'll look at Tommy's powers to see if there's any way to restore them, but as they are now, they might fail and put him in danger. Zordon offers Tommy the chance to leave, but Tommy decides to stay, even if it's only for a while. Back at the youth center, everyone reunites with their parents, and Kimberly gets a nice moment with her parents. They say that even though they're divorced, they still love her, and Kimberly even introduces them to Tommy. Aww. It would really suck if there was a comic reimagining of this series where Kimberly's parents went from being mature adults who are willing to play nice for Kimberly to self-absorbed children yelling at each other for Kimberly's attention. Bulk and Skull, meanwhile, hate how tame this party is and decide to spice it up by throwing some food, which starts a big food fight to end this two-parter. You really are only as old as you feel. Characterization gets a 5. Everyone is really strong in this episode. Nothing much to say about it other than Tommy and everyone else just proves this isn't background noise for kids. The story gets a 3. I mean, to be honest, there are a few plot holes here and leaps in logic. Zordon can just charge up coins with his energy, destroying Jamol frees their parents, the Green Ranger getting overcharged. There are too many things you need to just blindly accept. Entertainment gets a 5. It's Green Ranger coming back to fight everyone. It's so much fun, and seeing him team up with the Rangers again is so cool. Importance gets a 5. I mean, this is the big return of the Green Ranger and changes the landscape of the show again. Not only is the Green Ranger back, but with the asterisks of his powers being temporary. This creates not only more interesting monster plots, but the Ranger struggling to keep his powers. Despite the minor plot holes, I thought this was a great two-parter. It really set the stakes high with kidnapping the Ranger's parents and the ending cliffhanger of bringing Tommy back in. The characters are great, the story is great, the action is amazing, and it's just a really good reintroduction of the Green Ranger. It featured callbacks to his initial story with a mind-controlled Ranger, and plans were laid out for future stories. At this point, I doubt they knew they were going to adapt the White Ranger into the team, which is why they left the door open, saying maybe they can fully restore his Green Ranger powers. If things went in a different direction, I could see Tommy staying the Green Ranger for the whole series. That's all I have for you today. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all later.